Um, you want to hit record?
I think I just did.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and
Yeah.
welcome to a Topic Tuesday. This one is on Evernote. It's a follow-up to our time management that we did last week with Brenda Haug, and this week we're delving a little further into the topic and specifically on Evernote. And Robin Hastings is our presenter today. So thank you, Robin, and welcome everybody.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, welcome to, whoops. That's not really what I intended to do. Am I still sharing my screen? I can't tell.
Yes, you are.
I am, so you're all seeing all this fun stuff. Okay. Okay, forget it. All right, so there we go. No. What is Evernote? Let me go back one, actually, and point out that the link to Brenda's time management topic, where she talks about time management in general, is here. My contact information is here, and what's probably most important is this slide deck, where all this information is stored, is also right here. So you can jot that down, and then you don't have to take notes for the rest of the time. All right. So first off, what is Evernote? Evernote is an application. It is available for just about every platform known to man, with the exception of Linux. I can never get it to work there. But otherwise, if you have a smartphone or tablet or a computer, you probably have access to the free Evernote application. Its uses are snapping pictures of anything. I tend to use it to snap pictures of wine labels that I like, so that when I'm at the wine store or the liquor store in general, and I can't remember what that wine was called, I can go back through Evernote and look at it. I store documents in Evernote because I do pay for the premium version, and we'll talk about that a little later. It's $45 a year, so it's not crazy expensive. But what that gives me is the ability to search even PDF documents in Evernote. So I put those in there. And then it's got some excellent business card storage facilities. So it'll put all your information into a easily searchable format. You can use it to organize reference materials, store manuals, receipts, warranty information. If you've got kids, it's great for storing those report cards and drawings and doing all kinds of stuff. One of the features of Evernote that I won't talk about a whole lot today, it's a kind of an advanced feature, but it does have a timeline where you can go and pick out notes that were created in a particular month or week or year, that kind of thing. So that's kind of a handy thing if you're wanting to go back and look at what your kids were doing. For work, you can make notes with power to-dos, so you can check stuff off. Reminders, it does have a reminder facility that'll send an email to you when stuff is due. And you can take notes from anywhere, from any whether offline or online, on your tablet or your computer or whatever, and save them forever. And finally, the last use that I'm going to talk about today is organization. As Brenda talked about last week with the time management session, one of the time management theories that she talked about was getting things done. That's what I use, and that's how my Evernote's set up, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But it will work with other systems. One of the things Evernote is so very good about is flexibility. So I mentioned that it's available on iOS, Mac, Windows, Android. It has just about every platform. It has a native application that you can get, and they're all free. Each of those interfaces, however, have common elements. They'll look a little bit different on a Mac than it does on a Windows, and considerably different on a Windows machine than it does on your Android phone. But the common elements, there's a sidebar on the left with notes, shortcuts, various things there, and then menu items on top. What I'm talking about here, this is an image of my Evernote account on my Macintosh, my Mac Airbook. And so I've got the sidebar with notebooks and stacks, and I'll talk about those in a bit, tags, the list of notes. Right now, all I have is my checklist notebook with my single packing checklist that I have in here. And then the note itself tells me what the notebook is. I can add tags if I want. I can have a reminder if I'm traveling at a particular time. I can have this emailed to me so it pops up when I need it. So you feel free to, if you are following along with this at home, log into your account, look around a little bit, see where everything is, and kind of get yourself familiar with the interface. That, as I said, was what it looks like on my Mac. What it looks like on my Android phone, if you can see up at the top left, the little red circle, is the widget that comes with Android. And that's how I access my Evernote app through Android. When I open it up, down at the bottom, below that little red circle, are the I've got 7 reminders. These are my latest notes that I took when I got that screenshot. And then off to the right is another view of, I think this is my Windows machine. It's all my notes, and then I have a recipe on here. One of the things that you can do with notebooks is share them, and so I share my recipe notebook with my mom, which is very handy for both of us. So I've been throwing around notebooks, notes, and stacks as I'm talking about the interface. And so in Evernote, notes are single items. They're just individual, the atomic, granular, smallest thing that you can have. They can be video, they can be audio. A lot of people like to, if you look at the last screen, we'll go back for a second, and I'll point out that Android widget up on the top left has a little microphone in the middle. That automatically opens up a voice note, and I can make notes without typing. So if I'm, somewhere where it's harder to type and easier to talk, I can make voice notes that I can then listen to later. It's a great way to record information quickly when maybe thumb typing isn't going to work for you. You can save images, text, just about anything will be stored. Documents in Word, PDF, Excel, whatever you throw at it can be a note. Those notes can be collected then into notebooks. Generally, you'll have a single topic or a subject, like my recipes notebook contains a bunch of notes, each with its own recipe in it. And then stacks are collections of related notebooks. So I have a personal stack that has my recipes notebook, my patterns notebook for my knitting patterns. I have a work stack that has notebooks for all my work stuff, the various things that I do here at Nichols. So that's just one way to kind of organize your notebooks, make it a little easier to figure out. So creating a notebook is pretty easy. There's a new notebook button where whatever version you're using, there should be a new notebook button somewhere, and you click on that, and then you type in the name of your notebook and hit enter, and it's done. You can also just go to the new note button on your interface, and you can create, kind of like my widget that I talked about a minute ago. You can create just a new note, general, a text note, a new ink note, which is the writing. So if you've got a stylus on your tablet, you can write something instead of typing it. Audio, webcam, or screenshot note. This is obviously from my laptop because it mentions a webcam. On my Android phone, it would be just a camera note. So your notebooks are just collections of notes. And so you can create as many notebooks as you need and put as many notebooks as you want under them. So in this image here, I've got a GTD notebook, and that's my Getting Things Done notebook, where I put my stuff that needs to get done right there. And those notes, I mentioned the ink note. This is an example of an ink note from my Android phone. I wrote the word look and saved it. I don't use it a whole lot, so I didn't have one to show. I just created one for this slide deck, but that's what it would look like if you jotted down a note. If your handwriting is better than mine, you might be more efficient there. But your notes can be just about anything. The only thing that you might want to think about with your notes is how you're going to organize them. So do you want each note to be a single idea or a single task? Do you want to have it a single event like your meeting notes? Do you want to have notes for each topic or for the whole event? These are kind of things that you need to consider when you're creating your notes and creating your organization. So I mentioned notebooks, I mentioned notes. Now, how to create a stack is, I right-clicked on a notebook, and one of the options was add to stack. And then here at the far right of the screen are my various stacks. And I can, add the notebook to any of these stacks, or I can create a new stack. And so that's basically how you go through those processes of creating your notes, your notebooks, and your stacks of notebooks. So I mentioned earlier that Evernote is incredibly flexible. It does not impose a way of thinking on you, which means you have the ability to set up the organization however you want. For some people that can be, they don't want that much choice. They want something that lays out exactly how to do things. And you can find articles on the internet. One of the articles that I used to help me with my organizational scheme was using Evernote and GTD, and it laid out how to set up Evernote to work with a GTD system. If you have a different system that you use, you can do a search and probably find somebody who is talking about how to set that particular organizational scheme up. But basically, it's wide open. How you think is how you can do things. So there are no right or wrong answers. You can organize by tags, you can organize by notebooks, however you want to do it. It's up to you. One thing that I really like about Evernote is you don't have to spend a lot of time organizing up front. You can kind of throw things in willy-nilly, and Evernote has a really good search system. So even if you don't spend any time organizing your notes, if you just have a bunch, 2,000 notes with no organization at all, searching is a really powerful tool. And I'll talk a little bit about how that works and how to make it work for you in a little bit. But so you can go from strictly organized to just willy-nilly, however you want to do it. Evernote will support any of those. One of the things to consider, if you do decide to go strictly organized and have everything set up, it will make retrieval a little faster, but your inputting of your information might be a little slower because you have to consider what tag to put on, what notebook to put this in. So there's a trade-off. Whatever you do, you might want to make that decision before you get really into using Evernote, because it is easier to set it up the way you want it to begin with than to change everything later. Doable, completely doable, but easier to not have to worry about that. Okay, so I talked a little bit about the GTD organizing that I did, and you can see that I have my GTD notebook. or my GTD stack with my various notebooks, action pending, checklist completed, and then I had a workshop notebook because I did a workshop on GTD a few years ago, and I still have the information from that. So that is how I have my notebooks set up. But then over here on the right, I have the tags that I use for GTD. And you'll notice that I put periods in front of these, like what, when, where, who. Those just mean that they go up first. So that kind of counteracts the alphabetical nature, and the periods go before A, basically. So my tags that I set up along here, I can use to keep my GTD system going. And that's how I came up with my organizational system. And again, like I said, I actually stole it from somebody on the internet. But it takes a little time sometimes to get your organizational system worked out in your head and what works for you. But don't hesitate to spend a little time actually working on that. Like I mentioned, when you're tagging things, using the period or the @ symbol will help things go in order. Or like I did here on under when, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, next, soon, later, someday, and waiting are the traditional getting things done time contexts. They would not be in that order if I did not put the numbers there. So I just kind of want to point out that periods help things go to the top. Of course, if you've got everything with period, that makes life difficult, but periods make things go to the top. The @ symbol also makes things go to the top. And numbers help things arrange the way you want them when you don't want them in necessarily in strictly alphabetical order. So what this is also where the @ symbol is also used in GTD as a context. So things that I need to do at home, at when I'm out in Lawrence, at work, those all get tagged there. So that's another reason to use the @ symbol for me. So I mentioned searching is a big deal. It is something that is a definite strength of Evernote's. So there are a lot of ways to do searching in Evernote. You can create search tags, and that's like this first one here, created : day. That finds things that are created today. So if you're looking for something that you just created a few hours ago and you can't find it, this will pull up everything that was created today. You can also do updated today. So you can do either created or updated. So any work you've done, if you're doing, if you do all your work in Evernote and you need to say, to do a work log, like Brenda mentioned last week, this is a nice way to just go back and see what you've worked on during the day, so that you can fill out your work log properly. So there's, one way to manage that. You can also do created day -1, which finds things that are created yesterday, not today, and there's a couple of ways to write that here. But you can do that for day -7, finding things that were created a week ago. You can do, there's all kinds of, Evernote understands all kinds of different formats here. So you can kind of play around with that. You can also do searching for tags. So here I'm at this last, or second to the last one, I'm using the Evernote search to find things that were tagged with the @phone. That's useful if the tags, if you've decided the tags are visual clutter and you don't want them on your sidebar, they're no longer single click, easy to get to. So this is a way to get around that. You can also do to-do false, and I find this incredibly useful. I don't have a single to-do note. I tend to take notes, like say at a staff meeting, I'll have a staff meeting note. And if there's something that I need to do on that, I will put a checkbox, which is just one of in the what do you call it, the formatting bar. So where you would go to bold or italicize your text. I just put a checkbox and then whatever it is I need to do. Later, when I'm looking for what it is I promised to do at the staff meeting, I can do a search for to do false. That pulls up all the checkboxes that I have that are not checked off. So if I've already checked it off, that note's not going to come up. If I've done everything I promised to do on a past meeting, that note's not going to come up. But if I have things that are unchecked, those will. And I find that to be really, really handy, and incredibly powerful way to create to-dos that are a little more distributed. You don't have to open up your to-do note and type it in. You can put them wherever you want and then just pull them all together at the end of the day or whatever. So one of the things that is also incredibly powerful with Evernote is all these searches that I've talked about are, you can save them. So you'll see on the left side of the screen here, I have activities today and activities yesterday. That does a particular search for stuff in my activities tag. My daily review, that is part of the GTD thing, and that just pulls up everything that I created that day so that I can look through it and make sure I've either managed what it is I need to do or have it scheduled somewhere. Same with the monthly review. That's just kind of a quick backtrack of everything I did over the course of the month, make sure that no balls have been dropped. Phone calls, that's anything tagged with the @phone. So I can, whenever I need to have a few minutes and can make phone calls, I can pull that up and see who needs to be called. The to-dos still to do, that's my checkbox unchecked search that I just talked about a minute or two ago. And so I have that. And the weekly review, again, that's kind of up with the daily and monthly review as part of my GTD system. And then I have a work search that just searches for things that are tagged with work. So what I've done here is in the search box, I've clicked on this little arrow, and down at the bottom there's save search. So I can type anything I want into this little search box, click on save search, enter the name, and then it will pull what I've typed into the search box up at the top, or I can create a new search query down here. Hit OK, and I have a new saved search that I can use anytime for pulling up particular information I need. Over at the right, I've kind of shown how that looks after you're done. So I typed in Evernote. It has some suggestions for me. I have an Evernote tag. I've done some recent searches, or I can save the search just for Evernote. And I've named it Evernote, and it pulled the Evernote from the top search query down, and then I can hit OK, and I'm done. That's the basics of saving a search, and that's one of the real strengths of Evernote there is being able to manage those searches. So one of the things that Evernote does really well as doing searches, is giving you quick links into stuff you use a lot. So one of the things is shortcuts, and that is you can use a shortcut either to a notebook, or a stack. I find it really handy to have shortcuts to notes. I have an errands note that I use to keep a running shopping list. And so anytime I think of something that needs to be picked up at the store, I add it to my errands note. When I'm at the store, I have a shortcut directly to that note, and actually I have a home button on my home screen that goes directly to the errands note on my Android phone, and there's my shopping list. So as soon as I walk in the store, I can pull up my shopping list and see exactly what I need to be doing. So that's a handy feature right there. Is just being able to make shortcuts to stuff that you use a lot. You can also share notes. Even to non-users. I can send notes via email to anybody in the world, whether they use Evernote or not. If you have a friend or a work colleague who uses Evernote, you can use what they call work chat, and that's chat just around a note. So say you're sharing a note with someone who has an Evernote account, they have the opportunity to then talk to you in Evernote about that particular note. And that is handy because that chat is then saved in Evernote as well. So you have the history of the conversation right alongside the note. The shared folders, notebooks, those allow you to share either one way, in that the person who you're sharing with can just view the information, or two-way, where the person you're sharing with can also add. In the case of my recipe notebook with my mom, she can add recipes as well. And so our recipe notebook, the shared notebook that we have, becomes really valuable for both of us because we both are always adding and updating recipes on that notebook. And then finally, the extra that I have here is the ability to set reminders. And that's kind of a newish thing, just less than a year. But you can set a reminder either associated with a note or not, for things that you need to do. So for the GTD system, I tend to use my calendar most often to have, my Google Calendars does most of my reminders. But there are some things that I do entirely in Evernote. And so rather than have to keep my Google Calendar and Evernote connected, I can just put those reminders in Evernote and kind of get past the whole connection thing. And there's a question in the chat that came up. If your mom adds something to your notebook, does Evernote alert you that something new exists? It has been a long time since she's added anything, but I don't think it does. There may be a way you can set that up, but I think right now, no, I don't get an alert. Again, I think that might be something that we could set up, but for now, no. I'm pretty sure she does not get an alert every time I add something to the recipe notebook, because I add stuff all the time, and she would be complaining at this point if I was filling up her email or Evernote interface with all those ads. So probably not. Okay, so this mess here is kind of how to do things that I just talked about. So this top right corner, I have right-clicked on the GTD notebook in my, or stack, I'm sorry, in my Evernote interface. And one of the options is add to shortcuts. So anything in your interface that you can right-click on, you should be able to add to shortcuts. So that is something that you can usually find on any right click. Just below that is the share button on the interface, and there you have share note. You can copy the share URL if you want to share it on a website or in some other kind of non-Evernote context. You can send the note by email. That helps with folks who don't have Evernote, if you want to do it that way. And then this social, I didn't click on it, but there are some social networking. If you want to connect your Twitter or your Facebook or whatever, you can do that through here. The next box, the reminder, just kind of gives you an idea of the interface. this definitely, you just click on it. It says notify me when. You can set up tomorrow, in a week, a specific date and time, however you want to do it. But that helps to set a reminder. And I believe this is one that is connected directly to a note itself. A little farther to the left, this all note shows you the reminders that I had coming up at one point when I took this screenshot. So I had an Evernote workshop last February. I think it might have been February before last. It was a while back. But I had an Evernote workshop coming up, the metadata schema assignment for school, and then creating and delivering something, probably another assignment for school. So that's what it looks like when you look at your reminders. When you're done with the reminder, you can check box it, or check the box, and it goes into the hidden area up here, because once it's done, it's done. The last little box, the account info box that I wanted to point out, is one of those things that can be really useful. This is my Evernote email, and because this is going up on YouTube, I did block out my actual Evernote email so that various people can't just email crap to me at will. But there's a dot number here in the blacked out area that uniquely identifies my Evernote account. And if I send an email to that Evernote account, it becomes a note in my inbox. And so if I have something that needs to be done and I want to put it in my Evernote, whether it's a reference item or a to-do or whatever it is, I can just very quickly shoot the email off to Evernote, and next time I open up my Evernote, it will be there, sitting there, waiting for me to set a reminder, create a to-do, do whatever it is I need to do. So the Evernote email is kind of a hidden feature, but one that I think is really, really important for really integrating it into your workflow, because I know I live in email personally. This is the web clipper. This I've found especially useful for recipes. I find recipes online all the time, and what I do is I select the text of the recipe, like I've done here on this use the web clipper thing, and then I right click on it. One of the options is Evernote web clipper, because I installed the extension in my browser. The extension is free, and you would go to either your Chrome or your Firefox extension shop and look for Evernote. You'll find it. So I've installed it. It's right here in my right-click menu, and I can clip the whole page. I can clip a screenshot of the page. I can clip just the selection. And honestly, this is what I do most of the time. Because like I said, I've selected the text I want. And you can clip the bookmark, which is just the URL of the page. So you're not actually collecting the information, you're just collecting the address. The problem with clipping the bookmark is the web changes so frequently that just having the URL the next time you go there may be different or maybe gone. So it's much handier, in my opinion, to select the information you want from the web page and clip the selection, the screenshot, or the full page, but selection most often. So once you hit clip selection, you will see this box that is up here in the top right, the clipped to reference inbox. And from here, you'll notice you can click on the little alarm clock to set a reminder. You can share it with other people. Evernote goes through my my collection and finds related notes that might help me organize it, put it with where it needs to go. But all that is done through the web clipper extension. and I said all major browsers. I've never actually seen it in IE, but I haven't used IE in probably 15 years. So I'm sure there's one for IE, but I know Opera, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, they all have web clipper extensions for Evernote. This all information is, most of it, is found at the LibGuides for NECLs, the Evernote LibGuide. So you can review this information if you don't want to go through the whole slide or listen to me babble for almost 40 minutes. Again, you can go to this LibGuide and see what see the information without having to go through all this. So that's the place to go. So do my peanut gallery have any questions before because that's it. It goes much faster when there's not a whole bunch of people asking a whole bunch of questions. So hopefully, however, you've got my email and you've got the LibGuides. And if you're watching this on YouTube later and you have questions, please feel free to send me an email or work chat through your Evernote account. My email address with my Evernote account is actually my personal email address because I've had Evernote longer than I've had this job. So my email address is robin.hastings@gmail.com. If you're so inclined at the end of watching this in the archive and you feel the need to give me feedback, you can go into Evernote, create a note, write briefly what you found most important, or what questions you still have about Evernote. Share that note with me, and there's my email address, robin.hastings@gmail.com, and I will respond, I promise. I'll get an email that says, hey, you've got a new Evernote note. And then I will take into account what you have found most important, answer your questions, and hopefully that'll take care of that. So thank you.
Thanks, Robin, for sharing your expertise and Evernote experience. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Thanks for having me. Okay.
Bye.
I'm going to stop the recording now.